Your Royal Highness, all of a sudden, you're eager to talk. Why?
Yeah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I met you almost a week ago, and I told you I was not prepared to talk yet about what took place. However, in this last 1 week to 10 days, a lot of false articles were written in certain newspapers, like Wall Street Journal and the New York Times, and unfortunately they were quoted by CNBC, and they were all false, wrong, and they were based on innuendo, rumors, and heresy. And that's why I wanted to clarify my position, and also the position of Saudi Arabia. Although I don't represent Saudi Arabia, but I'm Saudi citizen, and I will not accept anything, not even one iota, of having Saudi Arabia being touched with such false rumors, innuendo, and heresy. So I'm here today to clarify things to you through Bloomberg, and give you all the facts on my behalf, and to clarify as much as I can my position.
What specifically was false, or heretical, or rumor mongering?
Well, let's begin with the BBC report a few months ago when I was in detention, whereby BBC have shown a person, I will not dignify his name by saying it, by lying, blatantly lying, and saying that he met me, and he saw me in a prison, and he heard the gate cells moving, which is just false. I didn't meet him. I met him 2 years ago last time. So these were completely false and rumors. And he said that he believed I was tortured, and which is a complete lie. And the other lie was also when he said that I talked to him through Skype, which is also a lie, because I never used to use Skype in my life, not even once. And to add to that, the latest article in Wall Street Journal, whereby they said that the government had the veto power on the dealings of Kingdom Holding, and said that I personally cannot do any more deals regionally, locally, and internationally. And the latest lie was, I see, unfortunately, I'm using the word lie. It's not any more false information. When they said that that the government of Saudi Arabia has stopped the 1 mile tower, one kilometer tower being constructed in Jeddah, and they moved everybody to the NEOM project. And I have a letter right now from me, in front of me right now here, signed by the Bin Laden Group, who are the contractors. But what's important is not that it was signed by Bin Laden, but it was signed by the government official who right now runs the Bin Laden Group. That says the following: Saudi Bin Laden Group would like to assure Jeddah Economic Company that it remains committed to the completion of the Jeddah project. And this guy is the government representative, who is right now who is running the show in the Bin Laden Group. Also add to that the New York Times article, which was full of false information. Add to that also what's written in the Forbes, by having Forbes, taking all Saudis completely from the list, which anyway was wrong anyway to begin with. Bloomberg list is a lot better and more credible than theirs. So really, there is a lot of rumors, innuendo, heresy, and lies on both sides. Left, which is really left media, is the CNBC and New York Times, and unfortunately, on the right also is the Wall Street Journal and the Forbes, and unfortunately also on the center, the BBC. So all these really just began writing a lot of fake news, and now I'm beginning to understand what President Trump says by saying fake news. So now I'm beginning to understand what he means by that. So I agree with you, Mr. Trump. There's a lot of fake news around there.
So you feel you need to speak out to what? To clear your name? Because you've been maligned?
No. I need to clear my name, number one, and to clear up a lot of the lies. For example, when they said that I was tortured, I was sent to a prison, during my 83 plus days in the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, and all these were lies. I stayed all time there. I was never tortured. Actually, we were given the best service, to be honest with you, by the Saudi government, frankly speaking. Doctors used to come twice a day. We had the best first service, best food, best everything, to be honest with you. So really, it hurts me to hear all these rumors and innuendos and heresies.
Your Royal Highness, you're one of only 2 people out of hundreds detained in the Ritz-Carlton to speak publicly since being released. Why aren't more people talking?
Look, Saudis are shy in general. even pre-Ritz era, tell me who in the Saudi business community used to talk publicly and go in the international arena? Not much, frankly speaking. Most of them are localized, or at best they are regionalized. So really, in my case, I have a lot of connections with the Western media, Bloomberg and others, and that's why, since a long time I've been public in what I say. So it is not really that much strange and weird that none of them talk, because they didn't talk in the pre-Ritz era. So why would they talk in the post-Ritz era? But I will encourage them to talk, frankly speaking. Although some of them did talk publicly, nationally. Some of them issued videos talking, but very regionally and publicly, about what happened in the Ritz. And they all denied anything of this torture that's been circulating now all over the place.
Take me back to the night of November the 4th. You were at your desert camp.
Yes.
Then what happened?
Actually, you were there a week before. Remember that?
I was.
Yeah. So I was in desert. I received the call just around 3, 4 a.m. in the morning by a higher-ranking government official who is also my friend, and said that the king and the crown prince would like you to come to the royal palace for a message from the higher authorities, which is the king and the crown prince. So I said, for sure, I am a member of royal family, and I obey the rules and obey the instructions of my king and my crown prince. So immediately I left with my car to the royal palace. I was met there by the government officials, and I was told that the king's order and the crown prince's wish is that I go to the Ritz Carlton Hotel for some discussions and talks about certain matters. And I said, I welcome that. I'm in my country, and whatever is asked from me, I accept and obey. So we just left to the Ritz Carlton with actually huge motorcade. I've never been in a motorcade like this in my life, So we went there, and we were
with whom?
I went with alone. With the person who invited me to be there. So we went there, and we were welcomed there, and we were given the suite over there until the discussions began with the government.
Did you have any reason to suspect that there would be a roundup, or that you would be part of it?
Frankly speaking, no, not at all. But when I was called at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, clearly I thought that it's very clear something is different, and something is not usual. Clearly.
Doesn't happen every week.
No, whenever I go to the king, or the king asks us to meet me, it's usually early in the night. But Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince, he stays late almost 24 hours. He works like me, almost continuously. So really, I always expect calls from him even late at night, and we always text and communicate, and very late at night and early in the morning.
When did you find out that you would be staying at the Ritz-Carlton for much longer than you thought? And tell me what went through your head at that moment.
Yeah. Well, strange enough, because the first time I knew about it was when it was reported in Bloomberg, because over there we had all the channels, obviously, and Bloomberg was among them. So it was reported in Bloomberg that some Saudis were detained, some government officials and some members of the royal family,
and you?
And my name appeared. My name appeared there. Actually, was the first one appeared there. So I knew what was developing at that time. It was the same night.
Okay, but you're in the hotel. At what point did you realize I could be here for days, I could be here for weeks? When did you figure that out?
No, really, frankly speaking, look, I'm very nationalist, I'm very patriotic, and really, I took it very easy, frankly speaking. When I was there, I really felt at home, and that's very strange to say, frankly speaking. I'm in Saudi Arabia, right? So, and I was at the Ritz-Carlton, and clearly I knew that this is going to take some time. This is going to finish quickly, because I read that this was a very much anti-corruption oriented project. But I felt comforted because I just reviewed myself. What's went wrong? I said, and there was nothing in my life that directs me into any financial dealings or corruption that could be against me. So I was very much at ease. Now clearly, I'm very much anti-corruption person, because if you can look at my tweets in the last 3-4 years, they were very much oriented against corruption, and I did name very specific cases in my tweets. So I was at ease, I was comfortable, that eventually I'll be vindicated and things will be clarified.
Why were you arrested in the first place?
Well, I will not use the word arrested because, frankly speaking, we were invited to the King's house and then asked to go to the Ritz-Carlton. So it was done with very much honor, dignity, and with our prestige was maintained very well. Not only me, frankly speaking, everybody else. So, and we were there obviously for 83 days until the whole matter was resolved, and then I left.
Why not use the word arrested, though, if you were held against your will?
Well, look, if this arrest or the so-called arrest culminated in an accusation or in incrimination, then yes, the word arrest should be used. But when you are vindicated and left and kept free, and right now you are in communication with the highest authorities in the government, and that's my picture with the king, you know, after I left, and I'm in continuous communication with Prince Mohammed bin Salman and his people, I will not consider arrest.
So the word arrest is fair to use for those who did commit a crime, admit their guilt.
Exactly, and reach a settlement with the government. But in my case, you know, it's very much different, frankly speaking.
So there were never any charges? Were you ever accused of anything?
There was not. No. Look, I cannot dwell into what happened, but there was no charges for sure because, you know, I have a fiduciary responsibility to my shareholders in Kingdom Holding, to my friends in Saudi Arabia, and to the world community, and to the international community, the banking industry, to the business community in the world, to the Buffetts of the world, to the Gates of the world, to the blank funds of the world, to the corporates of the world, etc. Because, you know, we have international investments all over the place. So it's very important to say that there was zero accusation and zero guilt from myself.
You've described the whole ordeal as a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding over what?
Good. That was in the Reuters meeting. The Reuters meeting happened somewhere between 10 and 11 o'clock p.m. on the night before I left, because I left around 11 o'clock in the morning, so there was a 12-hour gap here. I believe that me being at that detention was clearly a misunderstanding, because I don't belong there, frankly speaking. And I told them I don't belong there, because you know, I'm the only one who is not a member of the government, although I'm a member of the royal family, but not a member of the government, among all those princes. So, and thanks God, I was not a member of the government because I didn't have any chance to be corrupted. And you know, I'm anti-corruption person completely. When I say misunderstanding, because I believe I should not be there. However, right now, after I left, I would say that that I've been vindicated. Yet, I have to acknowledge to you, for the first time, is that yes, we do have with the government a confirmed understanding going forward.
What does that mean?
This is very confidential. I cannot get into that. But there is a confirmed understanding between the government of Saudi Arabia, between the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and me personally.
Does that require you to do certain things?
Not necessarily. I cannot dwell into that because it's confidential and secret between me and the government. But rest assured that this does not really handcuff me, does not handcuff Kingdom Holding, it does not handcuff our operations, does not handcuff my private office affairs, and does not handcuff my Rotana operation and my Al-Walid Philanthropies operation completely. So we have 4 entities that are separate and independent: Kingdom Holding, Al-Walid Philanthropies, my private office, and Rotana.
This understanding, arrangement that you have with the government, was your exit from the Ritz-Carlton contingent on your agreeing to them?
Not necessarily. That's your interpretation of it. No, not necessarily. Look, there was a dialogue between me and the government. There's a discussion between me and the higher authorities, without naming names. But this is the culmination of all this discussion that we had, and it took, you know, around 83 days to really keep discussing, and you know, and I was not pushing, frankly speaking. You know, I was not pushing to leave. I was not pushing to just exit the whole thing fast. I told them that, you know, I'm in Saudi Arabia. I'm in my territory. You know, I'm not being detained in downtown Tehran or downtown Sana'a. I'm in my territory, so I'm happy. I'm not. I mean, I would rather be outside. I'm not going to come and tell you I would rather be inside for sure. That would not be. That'd be fake news if I say that to you. So I wanted to be out, but yet I say I'm not in a rush. I'm not going to be out sooner or later. So whether it's 83 days or 100 days or 120 days, I'll be out eventually, because my relationship with the government of Saudi Arabia and the king, who's my uncle, and Mohammed Salman, who's my cousin, is ideal and perfect during and after the process.
So this is not a settlement, it's an agreement. Is it a signed document as well?
Yes, we signed something, but it is, yes, it was signed, but it is really based on mutual understanding between us.
Why were you in the Ritz-Carlton for so long?
Well, you know, you have to ask the government, not me, frankly speaking. You know, I don't believe I belong there at all. So, you know, I am always, almost always in agreement with my government, but not necessarily all the time. For example, I give advice to the government in certain incidents and certain cases, and sometimes they listen to me, and sometimes they don't. It's like they give me advice on certain things, and I listen sometimes I don't. So there's an interaction between me and the government continuously. Now, on that particular subject, I don't believe I should have been there. Yet I'm there, I respect the government, I accept what they said, and I'm under the support of Saudi Arabia, under the king and crown prince.
What did the government want from you? Did they ever make that clear?
Well, you know, I will not dwell into the discussion that took place between me and the government of Saudi Arabia and through the representatives.
They must have wanted something, though.
No, I read what was written, you know, that they want a chunk of A or B or C of what I have, you know, and this was all rumors.
According to one report, it was $6 billion.
Oh yes, I read $6 billion, I read more than that, less than that, I understand that. Though, you know, frankly speaking, you know, all these are rumors, but I will not dwell into the arrangement between me and the government.
Did it cost you anything to leave?
I will not comment on the content of the agreement between me and the government.
No, but what I'm asking is, did you have to pay the government any money? Did you have to hand over any land? Did you have to surrender any shares?
When I say it's a confidential and secret agreement, an arrangement that is based on confirmed understanding between me and the government of Saudi Arabia, I have to respect that. And look, I'm a Saudi citizen, right? But I'm a member of the royal family. You know, the king is my uncle. Mohammed Salman is my cousin. And this is the rule of Saudi Arabia, King Abdulaziz, you know, established Saudi Arabia, correct? So my interest is really to maintain this kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and obviously my kingdom also, and to maintain the relationship between me and them, and have it, you know, unscratched completely.
You understand, of course, why I'm asking this question. There are people, fellow detainees, who signed settlements and paid large fines. I want to know whether you're in the same boat or whether you're in a different camp.
Oh, look, that's why I didn't want to be in that case, because some of those people were there. I'm not going to name names, but I know them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe quite a bit of them. That they really did commit crimes of theft, and they were involved in bribes, and they were involved in stealing funds from the government. We all know them very well. I know them. And I'm for having these people there. I am for the anti-corruption that took place in Saudi Arabia. Now, unfortunately, I was added to that group, but fortunately, I'm out of it right now, and life is back to normal. So I'm not the person who's going to come and say, you know, I forgive, but I don't forget. I say I forgive and I forget at the same time also.
I also want to know if you retain control of your companies, whether you're still a 95% shareholder in Kingdom Holding, whether you still own Rotana, your media company, whether you're still in full control of your personal investment portfolio.
Let me assure you, look, I'm at Kingdom Holding, I'm the chairman. Obviously, you know, I did give the power to our new CEO, Talal, more than a year ago. And also I empowered the Al-Walid Philanthropies leader over there to manage the process, and my private office and Rotana. So they all have been empowered long time before I went to the Ritz. I'm really the chairman, like the only chairman, frankly speaking, of all of them. And they're all functioning as usual. Even when I was in detention, they were still functioning. And there is a blessing in disguise, really. It was a conclusive proof that all these operations, whether it's Kingdom Holding, or the Al-Walid Philanthropies, or my private office, or Rotana, they're functioning as normal as possible, even in my absence.
But are you still the controlling shareholder?
Well, look, very simple matter. You can go, look, Kingdom Holding is being publicly traded in Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia is part of G20. And our stock market is very transparent, actually as transparent as the United States. So please, you can go to the list of holdings, and you look there, how much is my holding there? You know, you can see it's 95%. So you go there, you see what is right now, and you can verify that independently.
Your Royal Highness, you maintain your innocence. You say that you didn't sign a settlement acknowledging guilt, and that you are different, if you will, from many of the other people.
No, but we signed a confirmed understanding.
Yes.
And I say we have signed something, yes, confirmed understanding. I don't call it settlement. Now some others may call it settlement. I don't call it settlement because settlement to me is an acknowledgement that you made a wrong. You made something wrong. In my case, no, it's a confirmed understanding with the government.
You realize, of course, how important it is to be candid and honest with me about this.
That's why I'm with you now.
Because the circle of knowledge is too wide. Yes. Too many people know too many things. And if all of a sudden a different story emerges, your credibility will suffer.
Sure.
So everything we're saying,
you bet,
everything you've told me is 100% true.
I have a confirmed understanding with the government, and it's ongoing. Now I elaborate on that. It's an ongoing process with the government.
Tell me about the Ritz-Carlton. What was it like inside?
Well, you know,
for you,
yeah, it was a well-built hotel, obviously, and there was an opportunity for me really to compare the service inside. You know, the room service, the laundry, the operator, the phone operator service, and etc. And compare it with our brand Four Seasons, because they are our direct competitor. Frankly speaking, and I say to my friend Bill Gates and Cascade, who are 50% ownership of Four Seasons, say, you're in good shape, don't worry. No one competes with us. Ritz-Carlton is a good hotel, but they are no Four Seasons at all. So really, I put them with the Sheratons and Intercontinentals and the Meridians of the world.
You used your time in the Ritz-Carlton to conduct comparative analysis?
Sure. You have to use your time efficiently, besides watching Bloomberg.
How did you spend your time?
Well, a good question. You know, I'm very much exercise-oriented. I'm very much, I'm vegan. So there's a lot of, I really divide my time into a lot of sports, a lot of walking, a lot of meditation, a lot of watching news, a lot of praying. Because I was in that one big suite, but I really arranged my time in a very efficient manner to really to utilize it best to my benefit.
What was a typical day like?
Yes, a typical day is that I used to sleep at 6 o'clock in the morning after praying the Fajr. The Fajr, I used to pray it with Mecca, with the Mecca and the holy mosque over there. Sleep 6, 7 o'clock, and then wake up around noon. I used to exercise for maybe an hour and a half, and then I divided my meals. Usually I have 2 meals only a day, but over there I divide them in six meals, very small meals. So really I cut the time. So I divide in 6 small meals, and then we prayed 5 times obviously, and did a lot of exercises, and watched a lot of news obviously.
You had access to television, to newspapers,
yes.
to...
We had access to everything, completely.
So no one on the outside knew what was happening inside, but those of you on the inside knew everything about what was happening on the outside?
Exactly. And that's why I was able to get information about this so-called torture, because all the security guards there used to come to me, they're my friends, and the doctors. And they all tell me everybody getting best service. They used to come 2 and 3 times a day for medical treatment, because some of them were old, so they had to be treated. So really, when I hear about this torture, it was blatant lie. Not only on me, on others also. Not only me, on others.
So you were not harmed or mistreated in any way?
Not one iota, to be honest. And I have to be honest with you, nothing at all. And that's when I saw the BBC interview with this guy and saying, I heard the cell and it was Skype and the prince was tired. It's a blatant lie. It's blatant lie. Maybe I should sue them. I should look into that. Sue BBC, maybe get some money from them.
And you're certain,
and give it to charity.
You're certain that nobody else who was at the Ritz-Carlton suffered anything akin to abuse, torture, wasn't even roughed up?
Let me tell you, to be transparent with you, I can confirm that none of them was treated badly and none of them was tortured. However, maybe someone tried to run away or to do something crazy. Maybe he was maybe put down and controlled. Maybe. But for sure, there was nothing called systematic torturing at all.
Where did you sleep?
I slept in the adjacent, not in the big suite. I slept in a small room. Yeah, because it had two rooms, one big presidential room and one for adjacent for the secretary. I used to sleep in the small room.
Why?
Because I like small rooms. Small rooms, and plus over there it was easier to make it dark completely, because I cannot sleep at all if it is some light, and that room easier to make it dark.
So no truth whatsoever to the reports that you were in some kind of a detention cell.
Come on, this is look. I never left the Ritz-Carlton. I never was tortured. And I read about the report that they got an American special team for torture. And come on, it was the funniest thing and the silliest thing. You know, it just never happened. I was always in the Ritz-Carlton. Never left that hotel.
Were you allowed to walk the grounds?
Oh yes, yes. I was allowed to walk and swim, and to walk around my suite. Yes, yes.
Were you allowed to talk to other detainees?
No.
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 So you couldn't communicate with each other?
No, no. No two people in the Ritz-Carlton used to talk to each other. No, at all. No. Even in my case. I did not see anyone. I did not talk to anyone.
You were allowed to make some phone calls?
Yes.
To whom? And under what conditions?
Yes. No, really, they were open. But I used to make the calls to my son, to my daughter, obviously, and my granddaughters, obviously. And I used to talk to the heads of the companies, like for example, the CEO of Kingdom Holding, the head of my private office, and the Secretary General of my foundation, and to the seniors of my companies. But I used to really be brief, because really things were functioning normal.
Were those calls being monitored?
Most likely, yes. Most likely. I don't have confirmed information about that, but most likely they were, yes. Most likely.
And they confiscated your cell phone?
No, my phone was in the car. I did not take it.
You didn't take it?
No, it was in the car.
I see.
My car, my phone, and my private bag was in the car.
You're a vegan and you observe a very strict diet.
Yeah.
So what did you eat?
Yeah. It was a bit difficult to educate them. For example, the soup used to have some butter and ghee. So it took me maybe 24 hours to really educate them and tell them I want the tomato soup to be natural, and for example, all my food to be without any animal stuff. But it worked well. It worked well.
How did you educate them?
You know, just by calling. For example, the head of the waiters used to come to me and to tell him to take instruction on what I want. For example, I like desserts, and it was very difficult for him to manufacture and make the desserts for me with Splenda, the dyed sugar. So believe it or not, I was very much there eating, having as dessert the Movenpick strawberry ice cream. Very strange, our brand, Movenpick strawberry, not ice cream, sorbet, because ice cream sorbet does not have any animal stuff, although it has some sugar. So I sacrificed that. So I did say, hey, I have some sugar, but I increased the doses of my exercise a little bit.
What was it like, Your Royal Highness, being held captive by your own cousin?
Frankly speaking, it was not easy. I have to confess that. It's not easy to be held against your will in a location. But I used to say, look, this is your uncle, this is your country, and this is your cousin, Prince Mohammed. And really, when I left, very strange feeling I had. And I met with I gathered all the seniors of my companies and all my close confidants. And I told them, I swear to you, I have complete serenity, complete comfort, and no grudge, and no bad feelings at all. And sure enough, within 24 hours after I left, we were back in communication, with the King's office, with the Crown Prince, and his people. And that's a very strange situation, by the way, not easy for it to happen, but it's a fact.
And that's because what? That's because you simply had to move forward?
No, look, I'm a nationalist, I'm patriotic, I believe in my country. Look, this country has been established by the Al Sauds, by my great-grandfathers. The first dynasty, the first state, I don't like to use the word dynasty, but the first state was established in 1744, and then it crashed. It crashed in 1818, and then the second state came around 1824, and then crashed again 1889, and then King Abdulaziz, my grandfather, who came and opened Riyadh in 1902 and established Saudi Arabia in 1932. This country was done and established with our blood, with our grandfather's blood. So I'm not going to come and have this irritation that happened to me, really, and to create a vendetta in me against my uncle, my cousin, and my nation, and my people in this country.
Did you see Prince Mohammed or King Salman at any point while you were in the Ritz-Carlton?
No. During the Ritz-Carlton detention, no, I did not see any of them, but I was in direct contact through their people, yes. So I had a few representatives that goes to report to them directly.
So the discussions that you had were with whom?
I cannot reveal the names, but they were very close confidants. I cannot give the names. It's just not. It's not that I am not supposed to. It's not confidential. But I would rather not give these names. But there were 3 confidants of directly King Salman and Prince Mohammed bin Salman, and they report directly to them.
Officials in the royal court.
Officially in the royal court, yes.
Is there anything you're not allowed to do now, or you have to do differently as a result of having been there?
Frankly speaking, nothing at all. If you can look, you've been with me, and you can look at ask the people around me, and I'm honest with you, nothing. We are back to normal.
Can you travel?
Yes, sure. I can't. Actually, I heard the rumors that I cannot travel, my son can't travel, my daughter can't travel. Actually, my son just came back yesterday from Jordan. He came here and he's leaving tomorrow. So yes, we can travel, my son can travel, my daughter can travel. There's a lot of rumors here.
Well, there have been reports that some people who are in the Ritz-Carlton now have to wear ankle bracelets.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I don't see one.
I know. I mean, I don't know about this ankle bracelets. I don't.
Do you know whether the government is monitoring your whereabouts?
No, I'm not worried about that, frankly speaking. Because
and your bank accounts?
No, everything's normal. Everything's normal, frankly speaking. Everything's back to normal completely.
What about you?
And actually, when I left, I went desert. I went to look at the football match. I'm very back to normal, frankly speaking. I met I had my majlis that you know about, where you meet thousands of Saudis. Everything's back to normal.
What about your profile, domestically or internationally? Will that have to change?
No, but some thanks God, many of the companies I deal with, and many of the banks I deal with, they all be in touch with me. And I really take this opportunity to thank many heads of state in Europe, many heads of states in the Arab world, many heads of states in the Far East, and many ex-heads of states in the United States, really for caring about me and being in touch with my office and with me after I left and during my detention. I really thank specifically, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, Lloyd Blankfein of Goldman Sachs, Corbett of Citi, and President Carter.
They checked in on you.
Oh yes, and actually Bill Gates issued a press release about me. So I really appreciate. Please, and I miss a lot of my friends here, because I have no time to mention all the names. So I really appreciate what they did, all those in the political arena, national, region, internationally, and in the business community also. So I really thank them for their care about me, and say I will never let you down.
What about now? Does the government want you building and maintaining these relationships with heads of state and CEOs of multinational companies?
I mean, when I left, there was 0 conditions on me. 0 condition, which means, to me, life as usual. Actually, since I left, I've been in touch with many heads of states, many heads of states in Europe, in the Middle East, talking to them, thanking them, and frankly, everything is normal. Yes.
Your Royal Highness, you're looking for foreign investments, and so is the Public Investment Fund, Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund.
Yeah.
Doesn't that put you in competition?
Oh, for sure not. Actually, since I left, we are now in touch with the government. To be involved in many of their projects. For example, they have a big project in the Red Sea where they're going to have Maldives-type resorts. Actually, Four Seasons was invited to be there. We are also invited to be in the other project in Riyadh, whereby you're going to have a huge entertainment center. It's Disney type. Mm-hmm. So because we are involved in hotels, we're involved in media and entertainment, so we're invited. So no at all, no competition. We complement each other. We see right now the Vision Fund that is with Mr. Sun of Japan, and we are very much investors in many companies. JD.com in China, mm-hmm. with Lyft in America, Twitter in America, and Kareem in the Middle East, and right now. To confirm to you that we are in the discussion right now with certain companies in the United States for certain deals. So no, we are not in competition. We complement each other.
Can you tell me more about these negotiations over deals that you're...
I hope we can do it very soon. But we are under secrecies and we are confidential agreements. I cannot tell you. But we are negotiating right now certain deals now with certain companies in the United States.
If you choose, or if you become involved with this resort in the Red Sea or the entertainment complex that's being built in Riyadh, this will be by choice, or this is part of your ongoing relationship?
You're very smart, Rick. No, this has nothing to do with any conditions. We do it because actually we're invited to the Four Seasons to invest in the Four Seasons in the Red Sea even before the detention. But right now we are just continuing our discussion. No, we do it because it helps shareholders of Kingdom Holding. It helps IRR and ROI, return investment and IRR.
What about co-investment? Will the Public Investment Fund and Kingdom Holding, or perhaps Rotana, or perhaps Prince Al-Walid in his personal account invest together?
Very good question. Yes, and this will happen. We are in discussion right now with PIF on certain projects to be so we can co-invest in certain projects. Yes.
Domestic projects or international ventures?
No, we are talking domestically first to begin with. Honestly speaking, the discussion right now is on domestic in the domestic arena.
What kinds of investments might those be?
Well, I told you it's like the Four Seasons in the Red Sea and the entertainment.
So those things, nothing beyond that at the moment.
No. But we are in talk right now. We are in talk with the PIF and the government about investments, joint investments together. Now, and still not developed yet. And I can't dwell into that because there's nothing fruitful, nothing final yet. But we're in discussion with the government. Yes.
You have the deepest, longest and most successful track record as a foreign investor of any Saudi, I'd have to believe. Will there be an opportunity for Kingdom Holding or Prince Al-Walid and the PIF to co-invest abroad?
Well, sure. I mean, we are always open for discussion for investments. Most of our investments, if not all our investments, are with partners. Like, for example, I just mentioned to you the Four Seasons in the brand in Canada. We own it jointly with Bill Gates. And that's the biggest hotel brand and the most luxurious 7-star brand in the world. So yes, most of our investments are based on co-investments. So we welcome the investment PIF. And right now we are in discussion with PIF for certain investments, locally.
Will you invest in Neom, the futuristic city that Prince Mohammed wants to build in the north?
Yeah, now Neom is still in the design phase.
Yes.
And the government now is going to build the infrastructure. Once it's going to take 1 to 2, 3 years, and obviously then they will propose to the local community the business opportunities for sure. And we are open. We are investors, and remember, in the last year, Kingdom Holding was the biggest investor locally. We invested $1.6 billion in the Saudi French bank. We bought a stake from Crédit Agricole in France, 16%, around $1.6 billion, and we injected around 4 billion riyal in the local community, be it in the highest rise tower in Jeddah and other projects. So we invested $3 billion last year in locally here in Saudi Arabia.
And that will continue?
That will continue. Will continue for sure.
Your Royal Highness, this whole ordeal has affected your reputation. People will still believe, no matter what you tell me today, that because you were in the Ritz-Carlton, you must be guilty of something, or crooked perhaps. Surely you must realize that.
Sure. Look, when you are detained, for sure, some of the business community, some of the banking community will say, they will have one iota of doubt, for sure. And it's my job right now to interact, meet with all of them individually or jointly, or go through a good reporter like you and say my story. Understand, it's not going to be easy at all, because it's going to some banks and some people in the business community will be doubtful, will say what's going on. However, I assure them that everything is normal, everything's back to normal, and that we are functioning as we were before, and we welcome them to come here to see what we're doing in Saudi Arabia, and life is back to normal.
How will you know if it is or isn't affecting your business and investment opportunities?
I know because I met a lot of businessmen who are in touch with us, and the banking community. The banking community is the very important barometer, and we met most of them, and we're still meeting some of them. They all reiterated their position of trust and confidence in us, and said, we are ready to continue with you as was the case before.
How do you fight the impression of guilt by association?
Well, you use the term guilt by association. I would like to be more positive and say innocence by association. And I'll give one example. The closest man who was detained is Ibrahim al-Assaf, who is ex-minister of finance, who was my son's manager's daughter. The guy went out of detention, and he was respected by the Saudi government, by the King, Salman, and Mohammed bin Salman, and he's back in the in the Council of Ministers. Not only that, he headed the ministerial committee that went to Davos to represent Saudi Arabia. So really, I would rather than saying guilt by association, I would say innocence by association. I like to compare myself to him, whereby he left, he was vindicated, back in Council of Ministers, and he headed the committee to Davos. I like to be considered like similar to him. Actually, many people who left the detention, they were innocent, and they were given back all their rights completely.
It would surely help if the government said Al-Walid did nothing wrong. It was a misunderstanding. He paid nothing to leave. He remains a Saudi citizen in good standing. That hasn't happened.
All these points were covered in the confirmed understanding agreement between the government. See, I cannot dwell into that, and the government will not dwell into that.
I understand, but you have to agree, surely, that if the government, if Prince Mohammed perhaps, or some other government official were to say, were to affirm everything that we've discussed today, that would help.
No, look, the fact I'm speaking to you right now, and I'm saying everything truthfully and honestly, and the fact the government is not going to say what he is wrong in what he's saying, it's an approval of what I'm saying, correct? So let's do it differently.
I'm also thinking about the fact that your son and your brother were both appointed to government positions during or after the time that you were in the Ritz-Carlton.
Correct. Yes, correct. My son, Khalid, was appointed the head of a sports federation during my detention. And the discussion with my brother to be appointed the deputy governor of Asir, a southern province, was also, the discussion began while I was in detention. So these are two proofs also that that really my case was a bit different than others, because you don't really appoint the brother and the son of a man who is really stamped with full corruption.
The Crown Prince, Prince Mohammed, is touring the West. He's meeting President Trump at the White House, and he's trying to attract capital to Saudi Arabia. Given your experience in the Ritz-Carlton, how good can you feel about presenting a common front with the government, the very same government that put you in the hotel?
Oh, look, I'm a supporter of Saudi Arabia, supporter of my government, supporter of King Salman and Prince Mohammed Salman, all the way. I mean, before, during, and after the detention. There's no one iota of doubt about that. And I would support Saudi Arabia because this is my country, correct?
People will find that hard to understand.
I understand, because they don't understand that talking to a person who is a member of royal family. You know, these people are this guy is my cousin, this guy is my uncle, and this guy is my grandfather. And these are my sons and my daughters and granddaughters here. So I'm part of the Saudi community here. I'm part of it. It's like in the United States. Do you think that Paul Ryan always agrees with Trump, President Trump, and they are the same party, right? They disagree sometimes. Even Pelosi of the House of Representatives and Schumer of the Senate, they disagree also. They are in the Democratic Party, right? So we are one party here. One party, the ruling family of Saudi Arabia. And this country was established with the blood of Al Saud and Abdul Aziz specifically. And I'm not about to really move from that front, whereby I'm full support of Saudi Arabia. And I understand this sounds weird to people, say, you've been detained by the king and the crown prince, and yet you are still supporting them? I say, you bet, sir. I'm supporting them wholeheartedly and to complete freedom and liberty.
You've spoken to other investors, you've spoken to other CEOs. What do they say?
Well, frankly, most of them really, I didn't speak to all of them. I spoke, maybe some of them called me, some of them I called them, and they are all back to normal, frankly speaking. And I didn't talk to many, maybe a few.
But you have to wonder how comfortable they will be putting capital in Saudi Arabia after seeing what we might call the Ritz-Carlton method of dealing with disputes.
Yeah, well, they have to decide that. But I can talk on my behalf. I can assure you and can tell you, business as usual. We're going to invest in Saudi Arabia. We're going to continue investing in Saudi Arabia. I was born in Saudi Arabia, and I'm going to die in Saudi Arabia, and that's my nation forever.
We reported, and Kingdom Holding confirmed, that your company is seeking to raise something in the order of $1 billion in debt.
Yeah.
What are you going to use it for?
Yeah, the Kingdom now is raising between $1 to $2 billion of debt, because we do have some cash, obviously, at Kingdom Holding, but we are now looking for the second deal for us, Kingdom Holding. Yes, last year we did few big deals, and this year, 2018, although the market right now in the United States, we see it is somehow, I will not say overvalued, but the prices are not where we wish them to be. But we would like to get some firepower ready for us. And yes, I think we are on the verge of getting the $1 to $2 billion financing facilities ready.
So you're thinking about a deal of what size?
Oh, I mean, we're willing to do any deal between $1 to $3 billion.
And in what industry?
Well, look, we are a holding company, and we are in 13 industries, correct? We're open. We're open.
Now, I have heard that you're working with Goldman Sachs.
Yes. Yes, the Goldman Sachs actually, and I thank Mr. Blankfein personally for his support in the previous deal that we did, $1.6 billion to buy this Crédit Agricole stake in the Saudi French bank. And right now we are working through them and others also to find and locate some other deals for Kingdom Holding, whether it's in the region, whether it's Saudi national region or internationally.
Would you consider ever restructuring Kingdom Holding to make it a little bit easier for people outside Saudi Arabia to understand? In other words, taking perhaps the domestic projects and the domestic real estate and turning it into a REIT, and then the other investments that you have remain, say, in the Kingdom Holding structure?
You are not only an astute reporter, you're an astute businessman also. That's exactly what our CEO is doing. CEO of Kingdom Holding right now is thinking of really divesting the local part of Saudi Kingdom Holding, which is into a REIT possibly, and it's going to be in it in real estate, it's going to be the tower, and all our local holdings. So it is ongoing, and we are having an ongoing discussion right now on that particular situation. Yes.
Would you say that's the plan? That's what's likely to happen?
It is the current plan. Yes.
How long will that take?
I don't know. It's going to take some time because we're still developing that matter. But our CEO is really thinking in these terms. Yes.
And what percentage of Kingdom Holdings assets do you figure would end up in the REIT?
Very close to, almost half-half.
Half-half?
I would say almost. Roughly.
So the other investments in hotels, for example,
yes.
The investments in media, for example, the investments
correct.
in financial services, that would remain inside Kingdom Holdings?
Yes, correct.
Tell me a little bit more about the projects underway in Saudi Arabia. We talked about what you might do on the Red Sea. We talked about what you might do in the entertainment center. But you have some very large projects currently underway. The Jeddah Economic City, for example, where you're building the 1 kilometer high tower. Is that still proceeding?
Yes. Oh yes, the 1 kilometer tower is proceeding, and right now we are almost 1/3 done of it. And that's a big development. That's part of the 5.3 million square meter development, and that's only phase 1 of it, because it will be the anchor for the other investors to come. Because everybody likes to be associated with the highest rise tower in the world. It's going to be 1 kilometer plus. This will finish around 2 years. We are a bit late, but it's going to finish in 2 years. But once it finishes, then all the development around it will begin, whereby you're going to have hotels, you're going to have hospitals, clinics, schools, other stuff. And the big infrastructure was signed. Infrastructure deal was signed just a few months ago by our CEO here.
Why is it behind schedule?
It's because Bin Laden, the contractor, faced some difficulties, not because he was detained in the Ritz, but because he had some, they had this big incident in Mecca where the big crane fell and they killed a lot of people. So this really created a big hindrance to his operation for I would say a year or two. So, and that affected the operation with us. But right now they're back on track. They're moving. Actually, the government right now owns a stake in them, and that's how I told you when I told you that the chairman of that committee right now is appointed by the government of Saudi Arabia.
The Wall Street Journal reported that the government has been interfering in the tower project, diverting resources away and toward Neom, the city in the north.
Yeah, you know, it's a pity that this came from Wall Street Journal. This kind of rubbish talk, and I repeat, rubbish talk should not come from Wall Street Journal. You know, that belongs to Mr. Murdoch's empire. This should come from a tabloid, you know, in some other country. These are just rumors, lies, and innuendos and heresies.
Not true.
That's complete false statement. Plus, our tower will finish in 2 years. And I think NEOM will not need construction for 2 years from now to begin with anyway. And plus the expertise that NEOM needs, which is very high tech, is robot oriented, as Prince Mohammed bin Salman said. The expertise they need is very much different than a typical classical concrete, steel, old-fashioned construction. These are two different subjects completely. And I'm telling you, Wall Street Journal now became a tabloid in these articles.
Tell me about Vision 2030. This is Mohammed bin Salman's grand plan. I think it's fair to call it a grand plan for the transformation of the Saudi economy and Saudi society. You remain supportive?
Oh, yes. Actually, you know, Prince Mohammed bin Salman, really, who I'm supported completely. Even before he became Crown Prince, I was full support him because his vision, you know, really took a lot of my ideas. But frankly speaking, he multiplied them. You know, maybe I have the Commonwealth Fund idea. I talked about Aramco going public, and I called it the nuclear option. You know, women's rights, women incorporated in society, women driving, all these things I called for. And he did that and more than that, by the way. He not only adopted what I said, but he did 10 times better than what I asked for. And that's why I'm commending him. I'm commending him and supporting him because he is really establishing, you know, the new era in Saudi Arabia. And I really, every time I text him, I say, Prince, you are taking us from the 12th century to the 21st century. Thank you.
How often are you and he in contact?
Barely 3 days come without me texting or calling him or talking to him. Barely 3 days happen.
You and he talk almost every 3 days.
And I say we text a lot. We text a lot, but we talk you know, less frequently. But barely a week goes without us communicating. Basically 3 days end without us communicating.
How would you describe your relationship?
You know, no one believed it. After I left, it is not only as strong, it's stronger. And this is shocking to many people, even to my people, not only to you. I told them, my relationship right now with Prince Mohammed bin Salman, this guy, is not only as strong as before, stronger. And this is shocking to many people.
You've forgiven him?
No, I didn't say forgiven. I forgot and forgiven the whole process completely. It's behind me, completely, completely.
What do you think the biggest challenges he's going to face will be? What he's trying to do is not easy.
And I told him, what he's doing is not an evolution. It's a revolution. Not evolution at all. That's a revolution on the social front, on the economical front, on the business front, and the financial front, and now in the political front. I mean, the mission is undertaken now, it's huge. And you know, King Salman is supporting all what he's doing, 100%. So what's happening right now in Saudi Arabia is tremendous. It's unbelievable, it's incredible, and it's a revolution in the making. And any person who does not support what Prince Mohammed bin Salman is doing right now, I consider him as a traitor. Yes. And I said that pre-Ritz, during Ritz, after Ritz. So it is not really after Ritz situation. That's a pre-Ritz. And I told him that. And I told others that you have to support him because what he's doing right now is complete transformation. Now, I'm telling you, there will be trial and errors. Sure. Not everything is going linearly. Because you have to also hear the pulse of the people and see how much change they want and how much receptive they are to change. But it's happening fast.
Do you think he'll be successful in taking Aramco public?
Look, before going to Aramco, I say he has to be successful because there's no other chance for Saudi Arabia. Because the last 2 years of, the last 2 years of King Abdullah's era, Saudi Arabia was just, going the wrong track. King Abdullah was my uncle, and I loved him, and I had a very good relation with him. But the last 2 years of his era, we had very bad relationship because I was asking for a lot of things: social reforms, economic reform, political reforms, financial reforms, and they were not accepted. But right now, Mohammed Salman is really doing all these reforms and more. And yes, I think it has to be successful. As for Aramco, I'm in favor of it, and I like it to go public. And this 5% is really is the beginning only. No one talks about it, by the way. So you have to understand that if you go 5%, that's the most difficult part of it, because then it becomes a marketable security. So if you go 5%, you can always go another 5% and 5% again and again. And that's easy money to get very fast for Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia needs the money and the cash now in the next 2, 3, 4 years. Because then when all the new the VAT tax, when the increase in fuel prices and electricity prices and all the other taxes mesh in the system, we have a lot of funds 2, 3, 4 years down the line. So having Aramco public right now is very important for Saudi Arabia, and I'm supporting it.
What if Aramco can't achieve a $2 trillion valuation? Should the government wait? The price of Aramco is a function of the price of Aramco of the price of oil today and the cash flow coming in the future. Yes.
So clearly, the more confidence there is that the price of oil will remain in this 56, 70 range, the more you can get the $2 trillion. And that's why Saudi Arabia right now is cooperating with Russia, in spite of disagreeing on the political front, for example, like in Syria. That's why they're cooperating, because also Russia has a benefit in having price of oil go up, because they are very much dependent on oil like us, at least for now. So if it doesn't go for $2 trillion, I think the government has to decide at that time, and Prince Mohammed Salman has to decide if 1.5 trillion or 1.750 trillion is as good as 2 trillion. But I'm in support of this thing going public, whether it's 1.5 or 1.750 or $2 trillion.
So in other words, fetching a valuation of $1.5 trillion is pretty darn good.
I prefer 2 trillions, obviously. And I think that $2 trillion is not impossible, but will all depend on the price of oil today and the cash flow in the future coming from oil.
You have a lot of experience as an investor. The Crown Prince is putting a lot of expectation, let's say, on the Public Investment Fund, the Sovereign Wealth Fund. What will it take for the PIF to be successful?
Well, the mission of the PIF now has been enlarged a lot.
Yes.
And a lot of Saudi assets being put there into it, and it's going to be a huge conglomerate, obviously, and there's a lot of responsibility there, because they're going to be also invested in the infrastructure of Neom and Red Sea project and the entertainment project in Riyadh. So they're going to undertake huge mission. Although they're going to invest in this project that may not get immediate and quick cash flow, then invested also in some others that will get quick cash flow, and they invest in the vision fund also. So really, the responsibility on PIF is going to be huge.
Some people wonder if the PIF is exercising enough discipline on its investments. For example, the valuation, almost $70 billion, at which it bought into Uber. The $20 billion it's giving Blackstone for infrastructure. The $45 billion it's giving SoftBank for the Vision Fund. What do you say?
Well, look, the PIF thinking is a bit different than our thinking as in businessmen. Now, in our case, it's entry point, very important, IRR, ROI. But I think in their case, they want some of the investments are, political implications. Some of them are really to create constant and stable cash flow. So they are a bit different than just the business community.
Your Royal Highness, you've had your differences with President Trump. You had what some people described as a Twitter war when he was a candidate. How would you say he's doing as president?
Yeah. Let me just elaborate on this. I will not say an argument with him. I'd say what a skirmish. I mean, I issued 2 tweets, he issued 2 tweets because of his attack on Islam at that time. But remember that all these attacks were just taken out from his website. So right now we are back to normal. And frankly speaking, all his policies, the Trump policies, were very favorable to Kingdom Holding, because most of our investments in the United States have went up 30, 40, 50%. So we really benefit a lot from the Trump policies.
Because of the tax cut.
Even before the tax cut. But the tax cut really was the cherry on top of the cream, whereby just caused everything to go, euphoric. So really, Trump did help us as Saudi investors in our case. And I'll tell you something very important now here. When we had this skirmish with Trump, and I will say this is a secret. Mohammed Salman called me. I say, my cousin, my friend, please stop it with Trump, because this guy made president one day in the United States, and his prediction was proven to be right.
Do you agree with? If you agree, here's the question. Here's really what it comes down to, because your position is not all that different from that of other CEOs. If you approve of Trump's economic and business policies because they benefit you and they benefit your shareholders, yes, can you overlook the things about his agenda that you don't like?
For sure. I mean, look, I'm not an American citizen, and I'm not about to interfere in U.S. affairs. But clearly, I'm a very close friend of the United States, and have a lot of stake in the business investment arena in the United States. So the United States it's very important for me, the United States, to be stable and to be functioning pretty well. So clearly, Trump is a very non-conventional president, very unconventional president. He's very unique in what he does, and it's taking time for the U.S. public, for the U.S. Congress, whether it's House Representative or the Senate, and even his party, to really adapt to his new way of moving in his presidency.
Do you think he's doing a better job managing relations with states in the Gulf region than President Obama did?
No, there's no comparison. I mean, look, I'm a private citizen. That's where I can speak publicly right now. Now, if you speak to any government official, he maybe cannot talk like me. But for sure, I mean, Obama, with all respect, he had no policy towards the Middle East at all. I mean, Trump has a policy towards the Middle East. I mean, he is very much allied with Saudi Arabia. He knows the danger. I was with you in an interview in Chicago, you remember? When I said that enemy number one in the Middle East of the Arab world is not Israel. It's Iran. And, many people in the Middle East were upset from me. Right now, look, who is the enemy number one of the Gulf region especially? It's Iran. Because of its hegemony, because of its wish to control the Arab nations through surrogates in Iraq, in Syria, in Yemen, in Lebanon, and even in Gaza, where they were in collusion with Hamas over there. So yes, I believe that the Trump policy is very much in close thinking to the Gulf region and Saudi Arabia specifically. And I think the relationship that Prince Mohammed bin Salman has and the King, Prince Salman, has with Trump is ideal and is good for the interests of Saudi Arabia and stability of our region.
Politics and diplomacy are exceedingly tricky and complicated in this part of the world. Do you think President Trump and his senior advisor, Jared Kushner, have a real shot at Middle East peace?
Well, I can only hope that they're successful, because really, although now we don't hear much about the Palestinian situation and the clash between Israel and Palestine, we always hear about other stuff, Iran, Iraq, and ISIS, etc. But I think that it's very important to finalize an arrangement or an agreement between the Palestinians and the Israelis as quickly as possible. And I really hope that Jared can pull this through.